Have you ever been in that situation? You feel like you know quite a few English words, maybe even grasp the grammar, but then when you actually try to speak, getting the sentences out quickly just feels impossible, like they get stuck.
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly common. Learners put in the work, they build vocabulary, study the rules, but that crucial step, actually putting sentences together fast enough for a real conversation, that's often the biggest hurdle.
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. We've looked at quite a bit, practical tips, some language learning ideas, all focusing on this. How do you build English sentences quicker? How do you speak more fluently? Our goal here is to pull out some really practical, beginner-friendly tips that can actually make a difference for you.
Exactly. Sentence building is really the bridge. It connects knowing the words to actually expressing your ideas smoothly in the moment. And fluency, well, it isn't really about having the fanciest words. It's about clear communication, right? Getting your point across without tripping up constantly.
Yeah, and when you can form sentences without that big mental pause, wow, the benefits are huge. You can actually jump into conversations, share what you're thinking, ask questions when they pop into your head, and it just builds so much confidence, doesn't it? Less pausing, less feeling nervous.
Absolutely. That hesitation, it often comes right from that difficulty, that struggle to piece the sentence together right then and there. So if you practice building them quickly, those pauses get shorter, and you just feel, well, more sure of yourself when you speak.
Okay, but before we jump into the how-to, maybe we should touch on some of the common reasons why it's so hard. What trips learners up?
That's a really good starting point. Understanding these common struggles, which, come up again and again in how people learn languages, is step one to fixing them.
Right. So let's dig into that. One big one, I think, is translating directly from your own language. I know I used to do that all the time.
Oh, definitely. It's almost instinctive, isn't it? You think it's your first language, then try to swap the words one for one into English. But, well, languages just don't work like that. They have different patterns, different ways of ordering things. So direct translation often sounds awkward or just plain wrong.
Yeah, it's like using the wrong map. You end up somewhere unexpected. Okay, what else? The fear of making mistakes. That's a big one, too.
Huge. So many learners feel this intense pressure to be perfect right away. And that fear, it actually makes things worse. You hesitate, you avoid speaking, and that just slows down your progress. Mistakes are, they're just part of learning. Fluency grows through practice, not through waiting for perfection.
That's so true. And I remember this too, trying to sound clever by using really complicated sentences or like big vocabulary words I wasn't totally sure about.
Yes, a very common trap. Sometimes people think fluency means complexity. But actually, especially when you're learning, simple, clear sentences are way more effective. They communicate better, and they help build your confidence faster.
And then there's just that moment when you're talking and you freeze, You know what you want to say, but the words just won't come out in the right order. Those awful long pauses.
Exactly. That hesitation just breaks the flow. Practicing forming sentences quickly helps make that process more automatic. It's like building muscle memory for your brain. The more you do it, the less you have to consciously think about every single word.
Okay, so we know the pitfalls. Translating, fear, overcomplicating, hesitating. Now the important part. The strategies. How can we actually start building sentences faster? What really works?
Right. So based on, what seems effective in language teaching, the first big idea is to think in patterns. Don't just focus on single words.
Patterns? Okay, tell me more. What do you mean by patterns?
Think of them like sentence skeletons, basic reusable chunks. Things like, I want to, I like, I am. These are simple frames you can just plug different words into. I want to eat. I like dogs. I'm tired. You don't need complex grammar to start.
Got it. So have these basic frames ready to go. What's step 2 for building sentences quickly?
Step 2 is getting really comfortable with the core English sentence structure. Subject, verb, object, SVO.
SVO. Can you give a couple of simple examples?
Sure, like she reads books, subject. She, verb, reads, object, books. Or I eat rice, subject, I, verb, eat, object, rice. Or they play football, subject. They, verb, play, object, football. It's your basic blueprint. If you get stuck, coming back to SVO is often really helpful.
Simple, clear. Okay, step 3.
Practice with real-life topics. Talk about things you actually know and talk about often, your daily routine, hobbies, family, work. It makes it easier because the words you need are probably already more accessible in your mind.
That makes sense. Less mental juggling if you're talking about familiar stuff.
Exactly. So instead of trying to talk about, astrophysics, talk about your morning, I woke up at 7. I had coffee. I went to school. It's practical, relevant, and builds confidence using language you actually use.
Okay. Step 4.
This one's interesting. It's about trying to bypass translation. Visualize, don't translate. Try to think directly in English. Picture the action or the thing you want to talk about, and try to connect that image directly to the English words.
How does that work in practice when you're, actually trying to speak?
Okay, say you want to say you're drinking tea. Instead of thinking the phrase in your language first, picture it. The cup, the steam, the action of drinking. And as you picture it, try to say, I am drinking tea. You're trying to build a direct link between the idea and the English phrase, skipping the translation step.
Right, potentially cutting out that middleman. Sounds like it could speed things up. What's next? Step 5.
Do sentence drills.
Yeah.
Actively practice. Pick, say, 5 to 10 basic sentence patterns and just repeat them with different words.
Like practicing scales on a piano. Can you give an example of a drill?
Yeah, exactly like that. Take the pattern I like and just run through it. I like coffee, I like tea, I like reading, I like my job, I like learning English. Doing that kind of repetition helps make those structures feel really automatic and fast.
Okay, training those mental muscles. Step 6.
Try shadowing. This is where you listen to a native speaker and repeat what they say, either right after them or even at the same time.
Where can people find stuff to shadow?
Oh, everywhere. YouTube, movies, podcasts, audiobooks, anything with clear, natural speech. Shadowing is fantastic for your pronunciation, your rhythm, intonation, getting the feel of how English sentences flow.
And the final step, number 7, for faster sentences.
Speak out loud. Even if you're alone, talk to yourself in English. Describe what you're doing. I am making breakfast. I am writing an email. I am studying English now.
That might feel a bit weird at first, talking to yourself.
It might, but it's such a good way to practice coordinating your brain and your mouth in English without any pressure. You just talk, and it really builds confidence in a safe space.
Okay, great. So let's quickly recap those 7 steps. Think in patterns, use SVO, practice with real life, visualize, don't translate, do drills, try shadowing, and speak out loud.
Exactly. Those are some really solid techniques to build that sentence-making speed.
Fantastic. So once we're getting better at forming the sentences themselves, how do we work on actually speaking more fluently, making it sound smooth and natural?
Right. Fluency.
Yeah.
That's the big goal for so many people. And it is gradual, but consistent, focused practice is absolutely key. The first tip is maybe the simplest, but most important. Practice speaking every single day, even just for 10 minutes.
Consistency, again, it seems to be the magic ingredient, isn't it?
It really is. Speaking is a skill, like playing an instrument. You have to exercise it regularly for it to get stronger and feel more natural. And it doesn't have to be formal practice. Just find moments. Talk to yourself, if nothing else. Another really effective technique is to repeat sentences often.
You mentioned drills earlier. Is this similar?
A little bit, yeah. But here, maybe take one simple sentence like, I'm going to the park. Say it a few times, then change the subject. She's going to the park. We're going to the park. This kind of repetition really helps grease the wheels, makes that structure just roll off the tongue easier.
Okay. Making the production automatic. What's next for boosting fluency?
Use English in real situations whenever you possibly can, even small things. Ask a question online in English. Try ordering coffee in English if you get the chance. Join an online group, maybe. Any little bit helps.
But what if someone feels like they just don't have those opportunities? Maybe they live somewhere with few English speakers.
That's where role-playing comes in. It's actually really useful. Act out common scenarios, like ordering in a restaurant, checking into a hotel, introducing yourself. You can do it alone or with a study buddy.
So creating your own practice situations makes sense. What else helps with fluency?
Listen actively and imitate. Really pay attention when you listen to native speakers' tolls. Podcasts are great for this, or shows. Notice how they link words together, their intonation, where they pause naturally. And then try to copy those things when you speak.
Soaking up the sounds and rhythm?
Precisely. It makes your own English sound much more natural. Another thing, which can be a bit confronting but is super useful, is to record yourself speaking.
Ooh, yeah. Listening back to yourself can be revealing.
It can feel strange, but the feedback is invaluable. Just pick a topic, talk for a minute, then listen back. You'll probably hear things you want to work on, maybe pronunciation, maybe where you hesitate. It gives you that objective ear.
Like being your own coach. Good tip. Another key strategy.
Talk about familiar topics, especially at first. A focus on your daily life, your hobbies, things you know well, When you're comfortable with what you're saying, you don't have to constantly hunt for vocabulary. You can focus more on how you're saying it on the fluency.
Right. Stick to your comfort zone content-wise, at least sometimes, to focus on flow. And the last piece of advice for fluency.
Be consistent, not perfect. This is so important. Some days will feel great, others will feel like a struggle. That's normal. The key is just to keep showing up, keep practicing. Don't let chasing perfection stop you from actually speaking. Fluency comes from putting in the time consistently.
Really solid advice. Okay, recapping the fluency tips. Practice daily. Repeat sentences. Use it for real. Listen and imitate. Record yourself. Talk about familiar stuff. And focus on consistency over perfection. Great. Now, let's make it a bit more fun.
Yes. Learning shouldn't feel like a chore all the time. Adding fun elements definitely helps motivation and makes things stick. One simple one is mirror talk.
Mirror talk? How does that work?
Just stand in front of a mirror and talk to yourself. In English, obviously. Start simple. Hi, how are you? I'm going to study now. It might feel silly, but seeing yourself speak English is powerful. You can watch your mouth movements for pronunciation, check your expressions. It builds comfort and confidence.
I can see that. Making it visual. Okay, what's another fun method?
Use your voice assistant. Siri, Google Assistant, Alexa. Ask them questions in English. Simple things. What time is it? What's the weather like? Tell me a joke. If the assistant understands you, it's a good sign your pronunciation is getting clearer.
Free built-in speaking partner. Nice. Another fun one.
Sing English songs. Pick songs you like, preferably ones that aren't too fast and have clear lyrics. Singing along is brilliant for rhythm, pronunciation, linking words, and even remembering vocabulary. Music just helps things lodge in your brain.
Language learning karaoke. I like it. And the last fun tip.
Role play real situations. We mentioned it for fluency, but make it fun. Act out ordering food, booking a hotel, meeting someone new.
Practicing those useful phrases like, hello, I'd like a table for two, please, or could you tell me how to get to the station?
Exactly. It makes practice more dynamic and prepares you for the real deal, but in a low-pressure, even playful way.
Okay, so fun ways. Mirror talk, voice assistants, singing songs, and role-playing. Love those. Now, crucially, let's talk about common mistakes to avoid when you're building sentences. Knowing the traps helps you sidestep them.
Absolutely. Being aware of these common slip-ups can really help you sound more natural and accurate. The first big one, we keep coming back to it, is translating directly. Just remember, English often puts things together differently. Word for word usually leads to awkwardness.
Can you give a quick example of that kind of error?
Sure. Maybe in your language, you'd literally say something like, for me, the book is good. But in natural English, we'd say, I think the book is good, or I find the book good, or even just, the book is good to me. You need to use English patterns.
Got it. Adopt the English way of structuring it. What's another common mistake?
Forgetting the subject or the verb. This is fundamental in English. Almost every proper sentence needs both. Who or what is doing the action, subject, and what is the action, verb. You can't just say, going to the shop. It needs a subject. I am going to the shop. He is going to the shop, etc.
Every sentence needs its actor and action. Good reminder. Next mistake.
Using the wrong verb tense. This happens a lot. You really need to think about when the action happened. Saying, yesterday I go, is wrong. It has to be, yesterday I went. Check if it's past, present, or future, and use the right verb form. Time matters.
Right. Getting the timeline correct with your verbs. And the final common mistake to flag.
Making sentences too long or too complex, especially when you're still learning. Fluency doesn't mean complicated. Start short and clear. Build confidence with simple sentences first. Then you can gradually add more detail later.
Keep it simple. Keep it clear. Good advice. Okay, so the mistakes to watch for: direct translation, missing subjects, verbs, wrong tenses, and overcomplication.
Precisely. Avoiding those will make a big difference in how clear and confident you sound.
Wow. Okay. We've really covered a lot today, haven't we? From how to build sentences faster to practicing for fluency, fun ways to do it, and those common mistakes to avoid.
We have. And really, the core message, the thing we hope you take away, is that building confidence and just making a consistent effort, those are the keys. It's not about being perfect right now. It's about keeping at it, practicing regularly.
Absolutely. Even just 10 minutes a day, focused practice, it really adds up over time. Don't get discouraged if it feels hard sometimes. That's just part of learning anything new.
So maybe think about this as you finish listening. Which one of these practice ideas we talked about today kind of sparked something for you? Which one are you going to actually try, maybe even later today? And maybe think a bit bigger too. How does being able to put your thoughts into sentences quickly, not just in English, but maybe in any language? How does that actually help you express yourself better, connect with people more effectively? What other basic language skills have that kind of power?